We are talking with investigators on a number of cases that happened overnight, including shots fired near a police station and several armed robberies. We have the latest on the search for the criminals. And a story you will only see right here on News 4. A man committing a crime with a rather unusual weapon.
I'm tracking stubborn clouds and storms in central Missouri. Just what does all this mean for your Wednesday afternoon forecast? I have the latest coming up.
Live from KMOV, this is News 4 at noon.
Good afternoon and a very happy Wednesday to all of you. I'm Laura Hettiger in for Alyssa Reitmeyer. Thanks so much for joining us. News 4 is tracking overnight crime. Jennings police did not have too far to go for an investigation on Garishey last night. Shots were fired at a home in a van less than a quarter of a mile from the police department. Thankfully, officers tell us no one was injured and no one appeared to be home at the time. Police do not have any suspect information. We're tracking an unusual armed robbery in downtown St. Louis. It happened before 3:30 this morning. A valet says he was robbed at gunpoint outside the Embassy Suites. That is at 7th and Washington. Police tell us the suspect in this case is a woman. She was armed with a pistol and took off with his wallet. City police are investigating another armed robbery from overnight, this one happening in North St. Louis, specifically here at Lexington and Norwood. That is just west of Kings Highway. Police tell us 4 suspects, one with a gun, robbed a person on the street. It's not clear exactly what was stolen, but the good news in this is that the victim was not hurt. All 4 of those suspects are still on the run. And a story you will only see right here on News 4. St. Anne police want to know if you recognize a bad guy. Go ahead and take a look at these surveillance pictures. Police say this man robbed the Advance America on St. Charles Rock Road. That's a payday loan store. He is also accused of macing the clerk before taking off with a lot of cash. Again, contact St. Anne police if you do recognize him. Also only on News 4, police in Velda City find an elderly woman dead in her home, but neighbors say they have been calling police for weeks.
For like 3 weeks we haven't saw him. They've been calling the police every day.
Residents on Lexington Avenue said they suspected that something was wrong with their neighbor for quite a while, but it was not until Monday that officers responded and found something wrong.
When we got there, we did not smell anything coming from the home. It wasn't until we opened up the mail slot that it was obvious to us that there was something bad inside the home.
And that's when police broke down the door and found the 82-year-old's body. News 4 asked the chief what took so long. He says despite neighbors' concerns prior to that smell, there was nothing they could do unless a family member gave them permission to go into her home. Meanwhile, News 4 is learning the arrest of a Wellston City Council member is all part of a federal investigation. Police arrested Councilwoman Janet Dixon. Here she is on your screen on Monday. We confirmed with investigators that her arrest is linked to an FBI investigation, one that included a search of her home. So far, no charges have been filed. Happening within the hour, the man who admitted to shooting 2 police officers in Ferguson will be in court. 20-year-old Jeffrey Williams faces first-degree assault charges. Williams admitted he opened fire on March 12th, but he maintains he was not aiming at police. Both of the officers survived that shooting. Only one of them has since returned to work. St. Louis County Police are asking for your help in finding a missing woman. Linda McLaughlin has not been seen since Monday night in Sunset Hills. Police say her SUV is also missing. Her family says it's out of the ordinary for the 57-year-old to just disappear. News 4 will keep you posted on the search for her. Turning now to stories making national headlines, President Obama has signed the USA Freedom Act into law. It restores key parts of the Patriot Act that expired earlier this week. The development came after the Senate gave the bill final approval yesterday. The measure revives and reshapes most of the surveillance programs put in place after September 11th. And a House committee is looking into the increasing threat of terrorist attacks here at home. Lawmakers claim the attack on a Prophet Muhammad drawing contest is proof that terrorism has gone viral. Craig Boswell reports from Capitol Hill.
Craig Boswell, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Usama Rahim was killed after police say he lunged at them with a knife. That's as members of a joint terrorism task force tried questioning him. And a heads up for drivers, a major milestone in the loop trolley construction is set for June 15th. That is when trolley track installation begins. Now the work will be done on the south side of Del Mar Boulevard. It'll be from Kingsland to Melville Avenue. So that means traffic will be down to just a single lane for both eastbound and westbound drivers. Now, the Cardinals lay claim to 11 World Series titles and their fair share of Hall of Famers, but now it's Cardinals fans that are calling themselves number one. Wallet Hub named St. Louis the best city for baseball fans. And in case you needed a reason, here are a couple. Wallet Hub cited our team and its performance, as well as stadium cost and fan engagement for the top ranking. The survey also cited Busch Stadium's location as a major plus, and it is a major destination right now because thousands of fans are making their way over to Busch for today's day game. First pitch is in about 40 minutes, so Megan Danahay, what can we expect weather-wise?
You know, I think we knew all that stuff about the fans already.
Of course, yeah.
Absolutely. I think the game is going to go off without a hitch today. Good. Maybe a few more clouds in our skies. Talk about in just a few minutes.
All right. Thank you, Megan. And two of the largest movie theater chains in America are under investigation. We'll let you know what they're accused of doing. That story in just 6 minutes. And we are learning more about the sudden and unexpected retirement of an area school superintendent. That is coming up right after the break. But first, we are looking east from the Brown Realtors Eye on St. Louis camera on this Wednesday, June the 3rd. News 4 at noon. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 4, watching out for you.
First, he was on sick leave, then put on administrative leave, and now the Hazelwood School Superintendent is flat out of a job. News 4 has learned that Dr. Grayling Tobias is retiring. The district put him on administrative leave late last month, but they would never specify why. He has served in the district for 30 years. His retirement is effective at the end of the month, and he will not be paid beyond that date. Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner is preparing for major cuts and closures. That is if lawmakers do not approve a budget by the end of the month. The spring legislative session ended on Sunday without approving a budget. The one Democrats put on the table is more than $3 billion short. If things stay this way, Governor Rauner's administration is reviewing possibly closing some juvenile detention centers and state museums, as well as grounding state aircraft. News 4 is following the proposal to raise the minimum wage for those of you working within the St. Louis city limits. A bill introducing the hike will be up for discussion on Friday. We already know that under the proposal, workers would see wages jump to $10 an hour this year and $15 an hour by the year 2020. Mayor Francis Slay has been pushing for this hike. So to put this into some perspective for all of you, the federal minimum wage has remained at $7.25 since 2009. You can depend on News 4 to follow Friday's proposal very closely. Still ahead on News 4 at noon, what was supposed to be a fun day on the slopes, turned into a day of terror. And it's all caught on camera. We'll show you in 5 minutes. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at today's fun fact. Here it is. Who was the first man in space? That answer is coming up a little later, only on News 4 at noon. Two of the country's largest movie theater chains are being investigated by the Justice Department, and both have theaters here in the St. Louis area. AMC and Regal Entertainment are accused of using an anti-competitive practice known as film clearances. That is when big chains tell studios, we will not screen your movie if our competitors also get to show the film. Now, smaller independent theaters say the technique puts them out of business. And it was a heroic crash landing that gripped the country, and now the story is headed to the silver screen. Clint Eastwood announced yesterday he is making a movie about U.S. Airways captain Sully Sullenberger. Now, you may recall it was in 2009 that Sullenberger successfully landed a plane on the Hudson River after losing both engines. All 155 people on board survived. There's no word yet on who will play Sullenberger in the film. Now, leaving a voicemail message, it's a dying practice, so much so that the country's biggest lender is saying so long to the message after the beep. JP Morgan Chase ended voicemail services for half of its 136,000 bank employees. It's all an effort to save money. The bank says it simply recognized the voicemail as being replaced by text and emails. If you're a customer and you're wondering if you will ever get through, do not worry. Employees without voicemail do not work directly with customers. Meanwhile, Amazon is adding free delivery service for its small shipped items. The online retailer is calling it the Small and Light program. So to get free shipping, items must weigh under 8 ounces and be less than 9 by 6 by 2 inches. You do not have to be an Amazon Prime member to get the deal either.
I'm tracking showers and storms across parts of Missouri, what it means for your Wednesday afternoon and evening. And temperatures warm along with increasing rain and storm chances in your 7-day forecast next.
We might be heading into summer here, but skiing is still the order of the day in other parts of the world, and that is what led to this amazing video. Oh my goodness, a frightening sight right there. A skier's run in the French Alps takes a dangerous turn as he falls through the snow and into a hole. He says as he called for help, he just kept sliding deeper. Then finally, after about 30 minutes, some other skiers were able to help him get out. And believe it or not, he finished skiing right down the slope on his own.
The Forewarned Storm Team.
Tomorrow, the best chance for the thunderstorms looks to be north of the area. And on Friday, it looks like we'll see scattered thunderstorms around the area. So we'll work with that for now.
We'll wait and see. And something we were talking about in the newsroom is we think it's been the last 6 weekends there has been rain.
I think that sounds about right.
Oh,
so
man.
I'm just the messenger.
We won't blame you.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Megan. Now we will be right back with the answer to the fun fact. Here it is. Can you name the first man in space? That answer is next, only on News 4 at noon. Think flying saucers are something you only see in a movie or read about in a book? Well, think again. Today, NASA plans to test an aircraft that looks like a saucer over Hawaii. A balloon will lift the craft 20 miles into the air. Then the craft will be free to fire its rockets and test its supersonic parachute before it splashes into the sea. NASA says it could be the key to a future human mission to Mars. And the flying saucer test comes on a pretty cool day. It's actually the 50th anniversary of the first spacewalk. On June 3rd, 1965, Major Edward White became the first American astronaut to walk in space. He carefully exited the Gemini 4 capsule while in orbit and stepped out into the vacuum with only an 8-foot tether keeping him secure. White maneuvered freely for about 20 minutes. And we are actually sticking with the space theme for today's fun fact.
Can you tell us who was the first man in space? Now, I guess the first American.
You did. But the first man, the answer, here it is, not an American. It's a Russian, Yuri Gagarin. He was the first person in outer space, and he achieved the feat April 12, 1961, just a few weeks before American Alan Shepard, who you guessed, flew into space.
Now, I have a bonus fun fact.
Oh my
for
gosh.
you. Who is celebrating a birthday today at KMOV?
Me.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Hope you have a fantastic day.
I will. And I'm glad we're sporting our Illini colors on my birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this just so happened, but hey, I'll take it. You guys have a great afternoon.